You are currently trying to run faster than the very algorithm of life itself. But in reality, you are just a mouse, running in a circular wheel with no exit of your own making. If you choose to stay until the very last second of this video, I will hand you the secret code to crack the simulation you are currently trapped in, allowing you to achieve everything through a stillness that is truly and terrifyingly powerful. However, if you choose to scroll away now, you should prepare your mind to watch your life burn to the ground through useless efforts until nothing remains but cold ashes and the weight of late regrets. We are living in a frantic era where society screams at you to be more hurried, to push for more speed, and to fight a never-ending war for the things you desire. The masses believe that success only belongs to those who are willing to set themselves on fire in a desperate pursuit of distant and fading dreams. But what if I told you that everything you have ever been taught is a calculated lie, designed specifically to keep you exhausted and easy to manipulate? The true secret to attracting every single thing you crave does not lie in more action, but in a state of profound, icy peace and a form of letting go that is actually the ultimate expression of power. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire in the year 1864 years ago, wrote a simple command in his private journals. He told himself to confine his mind to the present moment, because he understood a secret that most modern people have forgotten in their noise. When we finally stop fighting against the violent current of life and begin to troi theo na, the world begins to rearrange itself around us, without us having to lift a finger. The ancient Stoics were not passive dreamers, sitting in the dirt. They were intellectual warriors who conquered the world through deep wisdom, rather than through blunt and clumsy force. Think about the nature of water for a few moments, and observe how it handles the jagged rocks in its path. It does not struggle. It does not scream against the stone, and it does not try to force its way through the impossible. It simply flows around. It flows over, and eventually, it flows right through the obstacle. Over a long enough timeline, that soft, unhurried water shapes the entire landscape, not by trying harder, but by simply being consistent and fluid in its fundamental nature. This is the power of relaxed intention, which is the rare and elite ability to hold your desires lightly while trusting the natural order of the universe to bring them into reality. When you are constantly stressed and vibrating with anxiety about your goals, you are broadcasting a signal of profound lack and desperation to the world. Anxiety creates a high level of internal resistance, and that resistance acts like a thick dam, blocking the natural flow of abundance from entering your life. The Stoics understood that our own desperation is often the single biggest wall standing between our current state and the reality we wish to inhabit. But there is a specific point where the struggle ends and true beauty begins, and that is when you finally align your mind with the natural rhythm of existence. You become magnetic to opportunities, noticing doors that were always standing wide open but remained invisible to a mind clouded by the fog of stress. You start to attract the right people, the right circumstances, and the perfect resources, not through force, but through a calm confidence that signals to the universe that you are ready. This is not a call to become lazy or to abandon your ambitions in favor of a hollow life. It is about discovering the sharp, surgical difference between effortless action and the exhausting, pointless struggle of the ego. It is about learning to plant your seeds with a cold and focused intention, and then having the mental discipline to trust the soil, the rain, and the sun to do their work. The Stoics called this amor fati, or the love of fate, which is the deep, cellular acceptance that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Today, we are going to explore 10 profound Stoic principles that will transform how you approach the very act of manifestation in your daily life. These are not merely theories from a dusty, forgotten book, but they are practical weapons of the mind, tested by thousands of years of the human experience. Each principle will show you exactly how to release the tension that has been blocking your path for years, and how to step into a flow state where miracles become a natural part of your day. The first principle is the Art of Detached Desire, which presents a paradox that drives most ordinary people to the brink of insanity. The more desperately you want something, the more it seems to slip through your fingers like fine, dry sand. Epictetus, who rose from the literal chains of slavery to become a titan of human philosophy, taught that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having very few wants. This is not about giving up on your grandest dreams, but about understanding the toxic difference between wanting a thing and needing that thing. When you need something to feel whole, you are creating a vacuum of desperation that actually repels the very thing you seek. When you want something, but are completely and genuinely okay if it never arrives, you create a state of high-value magnetism. Think about the most successful and attractive people you have ever met. The ones who seem to attract good luck without even trying. They do not spend their days posting desperate affirmations or talking constantly about what they are missing. They hold their desires lightly, like a predator watching its prey from a distance, calm, focused, and completely unbothered by the time it takes. This is what the Stoics referred to as preferred indifference, a state where you prefer success and you prefer love, but your inner peace is never, ever held hostage by them. This creates a powerful, controlled energy that draws opportunities toward you, because the world is naturally attracted to those who are not needy. When you practice detached desire, you stop sending out the signals of fear and lack that have been quietly sabotaging your progress for your entire life. The second principle focuses on the intense magnetism of the present moment, which is the only place where your true power actually lives. Most people spend their entire lives mentally inhabiting a future that has not happened yet, or replaying a past that can never be changed. Seneca once wrote that true happiness is to enjoy the present, without an anxious and weak dependence upon what might happen next. This is more than just a nice philosophical thought. It is a form of practical, psychological magic that changes your entire energy field. When your consciousness is fully anchored in the now, you notice the subtle opportunities that a scattered mind would miss entirely. You hear the casual remark in a conversation that leads to a massive breakthrough, or you feel the intuitive nudge to change your path at just the right second. Presence is not just about being aware of your surroundings. It is about the quality of the energy you are vibrating into the world around you. When you are truly present, you are operating at your highest possible frequency, free from the heavy, rotting baggage of regret and the shadows of anxiety. This energy is incredibly attractive to both people and circumstances, making you the most influential person in any room you enter. The beautiful irony of this practice is that when you finally stop living for the future, you actually create a much better future than you ever imagined. Opportunities do not exist in the imaginary land of tomorrow. They exist in the sharp, cold awareness you bring to this very second. Stop living in the waiting room of your own life and step into the reality where things are actually happening right now. The third principle is the wisdom of accepted resistance, which is the recognition that life will always place obstacles in your path. This is not a possibility. It is an absolute and total guarantee that you must prepare for with a cold and calculating mind. Marcus Aurelius faced plagues, betrayals, and endless wars during his reign. Yet he believed that the impediment to action actually advances action. He taught that what stands in the way eventually becomes the way, turning every single setback into a strategic setup for victory. When you stop fighting against reality and start dancing with it, resistance ceases to be an enemy and becomes your most valuable teacher. Most people hit a wall and immediately assume the universe is working against them. So they get discouraged. They complain, and they eventually quit. But what if every single obstacle is actually a test, designed to see if you are truly ready for the level of power you are asking for? Consider how a simple oyster creates a priceless pearl, not by wishing for a life of comfort, but by dealing with the constant irritation of a grain of sand. Your struggles are not punishments from a cruel fate. They are invitations to grow into a person who is capable of holding massive success. When you accept resistance instead of resenting it, you stop wasting your precious energy on useless anger and frustration. You become like water once more, flexible and persistent, moving through challenges with a calm that unnerves your opposition. Trust the process, even when the path looks like a dead end, because the universe sees the entire map, while you are only looking at the current turn. The fourth principle is the power of inner authority, a truth that will set you free from the suffocating opinions of the masses. You have likely been giving your power away to everyone around you, letting external circumstances dictate your internal state. The Stoics discovered that true manifestation begins only when you reclaim your throne and stop making the world the boss of your internal mood. Epictetus famously taught that no one can hurt you without your own permission, a concept that goes far deeper than simple emotional resilience. Every time you say that you will be happy when you get a promotion, or that you will feel successful when you hit a specific number, you are handing the keys to your life to a stranger. It is incredibly exhausting to live as a puppet, where your confidence rises and falls with your bank account, or the validation of people who do not even know themselves. When you finally reclaim your inner authority, you realize that joy and abundance are internal decisions, not external rewards. This shift creates massive manifesting power, because you are no longer operating from a place of hunger and need. When you know you can be happy regardless of what happens in the world, you begin to make bolder, more strategic decisions. People can sense this internal fortress you have built, and they are naturally drawn to the strength of a person who does not need them to feel valid. Change the internal landscape of your mind, and the external world will have no choice but to follow your lead and conform to your reality. The fifth principle is the art of strategic non-action, a concept that might sound lazy to those who are addicted to the grind. Our culture wrongly equates constant motion with progress, but much of what people call action is actually just anxiety in disguise. Lao Tzu, whose profound thoughts echoed through Stoic philosophy, taught that the sage achieves greatness by not attempting anything forced. Sometimes, your biggest breakthrough will come not from doing more, but from having the courage to do absolutely nothing at all. We stay busy because stillness makes us uncomfortable, and we fear that if we stop, everything we have built will suddenly fall apart. But this frantic, nervous energy often pushes away the very success we are trying so hard to attract. Strategic non-action means having the absolute confidence to step back when you have done your part, and letting the situation develop on its own. It is the wisdom of knowing when to plant the seeds, and when to let them germinate in the deep silence of the dark soil. Think about a master chess player who does not move a piece just for the sake of moving, but waits patiently for the perfect opening. Their patience is their greatest weapon, and their restraint is their most effective strategy in the long game of life. When you learn this art, You stop exhausting yourself with busy work that does not actually move the needle forward. You begin to trust your intuition, discovering that the universe often needs space to work its magic without your clumsy interference. The sixth principle involves using gratitude as a cold manifestation force. Rather than just a polite social gesture, most people view gratitude as a response to receiving something good. But the Stoics viewed it as a proactive and powerful mental state. When you truly appreciate what you already possess, you create a magnetic field of abundance that pulls more of the same toward you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every single morning that he would deal with difficult and ungrateful people. Yet he still found reasons to be thankful for the chance to be alive. Here is what happens on a deep, energetic level when you practice real Stoic gratitude. You shift your entire mindset from a state of scarcity to one of total fullness. Instead of focusing on the void of what is missing, you acknowledge the solid, undeniable reality of what is present in your life. This is not about fake positivity or ignoring the real problems in your life. It is about choosing your perspective with surgical precision. True gratitude acknowledges the harshness of reality, while choosing to find the value in the challenges that are making you stronger. When you wake up in a state of genuine appreciation, you start your day at a high vibration that attracts similar, high-value experiences. When you go to bed grateful, you are effectively programming your subconscious to look for more things to value while you sleep. This creates an upward spiral, where your focus on abundance literally creates more abundance in your physical reality. Gratitude turns what you currently have into enough, and enough is the only solid foundation upon which you can ever build more. The seventh principle is the strength of emotional sovereignty, which is the realization that your emotions are created by you, not given to you by others. This single insight has the power to destroy the chains that have kept you reactive and weak for many years. Seneca taught that a mind seeking the truth must turn away from the new and the unknown, to focus toward the eternal and the divine. Your emotional reactions are choices, even if they currently feel like automatic responses to the chaos of the world. When you master this, you reclaim the throne of your own experience, and nothing in the external world can shake your core. Imagine two people facing the exact same financial disaster. One crumbles into despair and gives up, while the other uses the pressure to find a new solution. The difference is not in their bank accounts, but in their emotional sovereignty and their refusal to be victims of a cruel fate. This does not mean you suppress your feelings or pretend to be a robot, but that you feel them without letting them drive your life. You acknowledge your anger without letting it become a destructive force, and you honor your fear without letting it paralyze your movement. This creates incredible power, because your emotions are essentially the creative energy you use to build your physical reality. When you can choose peace in the middle of a violent storm, you become a powerful magnet for peaceful and stable circumstances. Your emotions should always be your messengers, giving you data, but they should never, ever be allowed to be your masters. The eighth principle is the philosophy of enough, which is a direct challenge to a world that tells you that you always need more stuff to be happy. The feeling of being enough is not about the quantity of your possessions, but about how you relate to what you already have in your hands. When you master this philosophy, you unlock a level of contentment that no luxury car or high-rise office can ever provide. Seneca, who was actually one of the wealthiest men in Rome, wrote that it is the man who craves more who is truly poor. He understood that fulfillment is an internal state, not a collection of expensive items, and that true power comes from being completely satisfied. This does not mean you stop striving for more, or that you become complacent, but that you stop needing more to feel like a valid human being. Here is the secret paradox. When you genuinely feel like you have enough, you stop operating from a place of hunger and desperation. Abundance energy attracts abundant experiences. And when you are not grasping for more tends to come to you naturally. Think about the people who are energetically attractive. They are the ones who seem content with their lives while still being excited for future growth. This contentment is not complacency. It is a form of supreme confidence that says, you are already whole and valuable as you are. From this foundation, you can pursue your goals from a place of love and excitement. Rather than from the fear of being inadequate, feel the richness of your life as it stands today. And watch as that energy creates miracles in your tomorrow. The ninth principle is the courage of authentic expression, which is often the missing piece in the manifestation puzzle for most people. One of the biggest blocks to creating the life you want is living a life that was never actually yours to begin with. When you are constantly trying to meet the expectations of others, you create an internal resistance that acts like a solid wall. Marcus Aurelius noted how much trouble a person avoids simply by not looking at what their neighbor is doing or saying. The courage to be authentically yourself, regardless of the criticism of the crowd, is a form of supreme manifestation power. When you are not being authentic, you are essentially lying to the universe about who you are and what you truly want to achieve. How can life give you what you are meant to have? If you are too busy pretending to be someone else entirely, authentic expression does not mean being rude, but having the integrity to speak your truth and follow your unique excitement. It means making decisions based on your core values, rather than the shifting and meaningless trends of a society that does not care about you. The beauty of authenticity is that it naturally attracts the right people and repels the ones who do not belong in your circle. When you stop trying to please everyone, you finally start manifesting the experiences that will actually fulfill your soul. This takes a cold and rare kind of courage. But the liberation of being yourself is worth more than any amount of false approval. The 10th and final principle is trust in divine timing, which is the understanding that everything unfolds when it is meant to, not when you demand it. This is not a form of passive waiting, but an active, disciplined faith in the logical intelligence of the universe. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should accept the things to which fate binds us, and love the people fate brings into our lives. The Stoics believed in a purposeful universe where everything happens for a reason, even if that reason is currently hidden from us. Your own impatience is often your biggest enemy, creating a friction that slows down the very things you are trying to speed up. When you demand that life happens on your schedule, you are acting like a child fighting against the wind. But when you trust in divine timing, you relax into a rhythm that is much larger and wiser than your personal agenda. You understand that a delay is not a denial, but often a form of divine protection or a period of necessary preparation. Sometimes, you need to grow into the version of yourself that can actually handle the weight of the success you are asking for. Think about the greatest blessings in your life, and how many of them arrived exactly when you expected them to. Probably very few. Most of your best moments likely came as total surprises, appearing when you were finally ready to receive them, not when you were chasing them. Do your part with total dedication, and then surrender the outcome with the grace of a king. The ancient Stoics did not have vision boards or journals dedicated to the law of attraction, but they understood the mechanics of reality better than most modern gurus. True manifestation is not about manipulating the world to get what you want. It is about becoming the person who is naturally worthy of it. When you align with these 10 principles, you stop fighting against the nature of life, and you start flowing with its immense power. This is not about lowering your standards or giving up on your grandest ambitions. It is about raising your consciousness to a much higher level. It is a state where miracles become natural, where synchronicities become common, and where what you need finds you automatically. The Stoics knew that true peace is not the absence of trouble, but the unwavering presence of wisdom within your mind. Wisdom, when applied consistently, creates the perfect internal conditions for everything good to flow into your physical life. Your manifestations are already on their way to you, and your only job is to remain relaxed. Trust the process, and stay ready for the arrival. Remember that the world is a reflection of your internal state. So focus your energy on building the fortress of your mind if you are ready to receive the life you have been dreaming of. Make a commitment to yourself today to master your own reactions. To seal this message into your spirit, tell yourself that you will relax, you will trust, and you will receive. Until the next time, stay stoic, stay strong, and keep your mind open to the miracles that are already surrounding you in every moment.